In high school, one of my Italian friends would bring this chickpea and pasta soup on the coldest days. We all wanted a taste of it because it was so delicious. And it's actually quite simple to make. This is very home-style, peasant-style Italian food, and they're actually the best kind of dishes. So I've just got a saute pan on. You could also use a pot. I'm going to add half an onion, and we're just going to roughly chop it the same size. This all gets blended up later on, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And traditionally, you would cook your chickpeas in a broth and then use that broth. But if you want to make this into a really quick midweek dinner, this is how you would replicate it. So a good glug of olive oil into our pan. In goes our onions, along with a little hint of chilli. Just that warmth there is great to have in a soup, particularly in winter. So half a dried chilli. To that, I'll add a clove of garlic, and the garlic you don't need to chop because it is going to be blended. So we'll just bruise that, and then that can go in too. To this, I'm going to add 1 sprig of rosemary. I love rosemary and chickpeas together. They go so nicely. So 1 sprig, and we'll just give that a stir. And you can see those onions are softening nicely. Okay, chickpeas, high in protein, great source of fibre. This is just 1 can of chickpeas. I've drained them and rinsed them really well. They can now go in. And we're just going to coat them in all that lovely mixture. And now for our stock. I'm using a chicken stock because I want that lovely savoury flavour. You don't need to add any salt whatsoever to this dish because there's enough seasoning in our stock. So we're going to cover our chickpeas. I'm also going to add a splash of water. Now it does seem like a lot of liquid, but as I puree this, I want it to be liquidy because it will thicken up right at the end when I add the pasta. So the lid can go on. And we're going to bring this up to the boil, turn it down. We want to cook that for about 20 minutes before blending it. All right, the soup is cooked, smells fantastic. We can take the chilli out, it's done its job. And also, if you find a little rosemary stick, that can come out too. And I'm going to ladle this into a blender and blend it until it's smooth. Once it's smooth, it goes back into the pot and we can add our pasta. Now, I'm going to be using risotto for this, but you can use any type of short pasta. And the pasta won't take long at all to cook, about 5 to 8 minutes. Look how lovely and creamy this soup looks. That's just from blending those gorgeous chickpeas with the stock, and the pasta is in there and it's cooked. That has also thickened up our soup, and I'm really happy with the consistency of that. Final touches, once the heat is off, a generous handful of our parmesan cheese. And we need the freshness of some lemon, so I'm going to add the zest of some lemon here. We can also add some more to the top. And I'm also going to add some of the juice. You really need that acidity, so fresh lemon juice is great. Okay, and the reason I like to turn the heat off when I add that Parmesan cheese is just to ensure that it doesn't go waxy or cluster up. You want it to just melt in and really form a sheen on that soup. Okay, let's serve this up. Place this into a bowl. And I always like to finish off with some really good quality extra virgin olive oil. We'll just drizzle that over the top. Some Parmesan cheese. A little extra lemon zest if you have. And I love freshly cracked pepper with chickpeas and the Parmesan. There you go, a simple soup. Maybe a soup that you haven't tried before. I know when it gets to the cooler months, I am craving lots of different varieties of soup. This can be made ahead of time. You can freeze it. If you want a really quick lunch, definitely turn to this, and it's super filling too.